it falls to me to introduce our keynote speaker, Roberto Rigobon. I'm very delighted to do this, obviously, although Sara put together much of this, including basically recruiting Roberto to come speak, so maybe she should do it. But in any case, she asked me to do it, and it is a true delight to do so. In many cases, when the keynote speaker is introduced, it is said that the person needs no introduction. This is particularly the case this afternoon. NIP is part of La SEA, and basically, Rigobon is our serving president, so everyone knows who he is. But let me, nonetheless, due to the formality, say something. Roberto Rigobon is the Sloan Fellows Professor at the Sloan School of Management at MIT. He's also a research associate at the MBR, and this reflects the fact that he has done much very noted research in areas such as international, monetary, and also generally development economics, and therefore obviously has papers published in several of the top journals and has really made significant contributions. So this easily makes him one of the most successful and one of the most noted Latin American economists, and since most of us here are Latin American economists, let me just say that's a very select group, so it's hard to do well. Beyond this, those of you who know him also know that he is one of the friendliest and funniest of any economist, and so that is also true within this group. And even beyond this, any person in his position obviously would be an excellent researcher. He is also an excellent teacher. He has received teaching awards at the MIT Business School, which is a difficult environment in which to compete in teaching 6 times. And so this afternoon we are really in for a treat, because I am sure that his talk, which tells us about mobile money, will basically display his usual teaching ability. So it is an immense pleasure to welcome Roberto to this afternoon, and let's give him a hand.
So thank you very much for the invitation. When Sara called me for the invitation, he said, "Roberto, you have worked on financial crisis all the time." I said, "Yes." And says, "And you have never been included into the NIP ever?" And said, "Yes. And we're doing this financial inclusion, so can we include you to talk about finance?" That has been the entire relationship I have had with this group. It is a great pleasure. Actually, I became an economist because of development economics. My parents moved from Europe in extremely bad conditions. I was born in a very humble home in Caracas. And from the town where I was born, only 4 people got out of that misery that I know from my infancy. So very early in my life, I knew how extraordinarily lucky I was. And I devoted my life to economics because I wanted to try to provide an answer to what can I tell to a poor family, in the case of my dad and my mother at that time, what can I tell them to get out of the situation where we were? And then later in life, I just found it was easier to write about financial crisis, and so I got away. But it was this actually gave me the chance to go back to actually the reason why I became an economist, and so I want to thank you, Sara. I have never had a connection with this group, but it's a great pleasure actually to start that connection much later in life. I'm going to talk about mobile money, and this is very related to what Ocampo was saying before. He was worried about regulation. It's so interesting. We macroeconomists, we are always seeing the bad thing of every aspect, okay? I always thought that was because I was from Venezuela, which that explains part of the problem, that my dad is from Argentina. So I thought, well, combining Venezuela and Argentina, that should explain why we're so negative. But my mother's from Spain, or she was from Spain. My great-grandfather was from Germany. From my father's side, they were Italian. So truly, I have so many reasons to look at the past, present, and future crisis that's more or less why I look at this problem. And I look at this in a very negative way. So I want to try to present at the beginning the positive side of mobile money, because I would like for this audience to, in some sense, to get an idea of how exciting things are and why we are, in general, researchers are so excited. But Rob Townsend and myself, we are on the macro side. We are in the Consortium of Financial Systems and Poverty at MIT. And we look at mobile money and we're thinking about, okay, if this is going to be successful, how does success look like? And I think that in that sense, what I would like to do is to share some of our thoughts, which are mostly about worrisome. Is that okay? So the next step doesn't look that easy. But I actually think that in Latin America, we are much better prepared to handle the next step of mobile money than in other places. So what I want to do is to actually have the discussion. I'm going to talk almost entirely about Kenya because I have done all the research in Kenya. Is that okay? I'll give you my thoughts and preoccupations about Kenya in general, and then I would like this to be a conversation so we can talk about Latin America. And I hope that when I describe how I think, or at least discuss how we think this should be evolved, that we can actually have some lessons for Latin America. Okay, so I'm going to go relatively fast. If there's any questions, just stop me. You have a lot of cans of Coca-Cola and Sprite and Canada Dry. They have been supplied to you, so you can throw it to my head if I am not paying attention to you. It is a very effective way to capture the attention of the speaker when they see an object moving at a very fast speed to their head. So I can assure you I will point to you at that moment. So please just throw me everything if I don't pay attention to you. So in fact, the previous panel is a great introduction to what I'm going to talk. It is the case that this is the agenda, that we think that financial inclusion is important. In some dimension, is important. And it's, as Daniel was saying, financial inclusion in Latin America is bad for all groups. But still, we think that there's something important about financial inclusion for growth, poverty, and especially for risk-sharing purposes. That is very important for that. So, indeed, when you look at the percentage of population below standards of living, there's an extraordinary correlation between that and the fact that they are not included in the banking sector. And that's what typically, this is a way to run in very sophisticated regressions. This is, after I had 3 kids, I don't do regressions anymore. I just do graphical regressions, which is just to do the 2 graphs really fast. So you see that. And that's, yes. Actually, my daughter yesterday, I had to drop her in college, so I have been crying since yesterday. So that's why I'm returning tomorrow, this night. So in fact, when people have looked at, these are farmers in Kenya, their income, how the income actually evolves per month. You can see incredible fluctuations of income at level the farmers and traders. And in fact, this motivated the part of the explanation of we should do something. This is clearly when a person earns about 60 times what earns in a bad month, there should be something that could be done to improve their standards of living. So M-Pesa, which actually is translated, Pesa is the name of the currency, so this actually is mobile money in Swahili. So M-Pesa was designed, it's a very simple idea. They took cell phones, and they said, you give me the money to the cell phone company, and the cell phone company opens an account that has a text. Is that okay? So you don't have the cash anymore. You have in a cell phone, you have an account that has a text. If I send Nora a text that says with some password, please, But anyway, so some security, I send a text to Nora that says 200. Now Nora has the 200 in the text account. And she goes to an agent, and there's an agent that exchanges the text for cash. And this is truly a brilliant idea because there's almost no branches whatsoever in Kenya of banks, very little penetration of the banking, retail banking, but everybody has a cell phone. So it had an incredible impact. And what I want to show you is the impact that it had in terms of penetration and adoption of technology. This is the fastest technology. Kenya is the fastest technology ever adopted on Earth. There's not a single technology ever designed by humankind that has been ever adopted this way. So that's why we're excited. And in some sense, there is a way to connect. That's the point. There is a way to connect.
So the technology is the text?
Yeah, the whole technology is the joint technology of having a cell phone plus all the text. But the way I explain it is what it is. You have I understand it sounds weird because we receive text from everybody. So how can you differentiate an account of text that is actually money from not? the security aspect of that is a technology. So yes, it's being able to actually send you a text with two numbers, and in fact, I have to ask you for your number for you to receive the text. So it's a voluntary transaction, but that's it. The whole business model is based on commissions, and that's very important to highlight. The way the cell phone is making money is about commissions. Every time you send a text, they charge a commission, like remittances, like a Wells Fargo, okay? It's relatively small, the charge. I will show you some of the numbers, okay? So but two things is, the intuition, what I wanted to do is to explain the intuition. I will actually go carefully with what I call, in finance, we always talk about the flow of funds. Here I have to talk about the flow of text, no? So it's fund and text. So where the cash is. And it's very important from the regulatory point of view where the cash is. Because somebody actually has the cash. And I understand everybody can send a text, but where is the money? Yeah. That's also called the Jerry Maguire theorem of life. Show me the money. Okay, so let me just show you a little bit of the commissions. What is the cost? And this is the typical... these are, if you transfer something like 150, you will only pay less than 2% of commission. So it's relatively small. Is that okay? These are the amounts in local currency. So this is relatively small. So it's a very small percentage, about 2%. Yes.
It's small?
Well, no. Well, it's small for remittances.
Remittances, okay.
Yeah. I will talk exactly.
No.
Yes. I will actually talk exactly about what means small. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, let me take care. You see, I am with all the nationalities I told you. I only need a Greek. Oh, is that okay? To tell you that I'm very used to say I owe you. So I'm gonna create a debt here of the questions you have that says I owe you. Okay, look, I owe you. Given the behavior of my nationality is very, very probably I'm going to default, but that's a minor point. But so I want to actually, I will talk about what actually small means. Yes, I will actually talk exactly how they use it. Yes. So yes, but that one, because I have a slide that is easy. I will not default. Furthermore, I can only pay one Guillermo, so I have to choose which one. I'll pay you, Guillermo, don't worry. So this is a country that has less than 50 million people. There are 14 million customers. There's no penetration like that. 40% of the economically active Kenyans have an account. There's about 5.4 billion local currency shillings being transferred in just 1 year. The transactions are tiny, less than $10, 70. So this is all remittances, payments, transfers to the family. These are tiny. There was a market that could not exist because the transactions of the Wells Fargo type of remittances was so big that a lot of these transactions could not take place. And now a significant proportion of transactions are tiny. Most of the accounts die. I create the account, transfer, and I close the account. The accounts are created free, and so it's actually just for the transaction that they created. So again, it's very interesting when you compare the adoption of this technology to other adoptions, like agricultural technologies are adopted on 65% rate. Take-up rates on micro-lending less than 10%. We have a lot of transactions that we have tried that we think they're good for the poor, and they just not adopted. Even you explain them how a micro-lending works, even you explain how microinsurance works. In the experiments that you were citing before, Daryl, about JPAL, one of the aspects that are not highlighted is that in an experiment, there was 10% take-ups only in the experiments. After explaining people about micro-lending, this is good for you, you get money for free, and still only 10% take-up ratio. So these households are not very prone to adopting technologies, except cell phones and this technology in particular. So let me just show you some of these in graphs. There was a tremendous proliferation of entrepreneurs that occurred because of mobile money in Kenya. And in fact, they are affecting the supply chain of Coca-Cola, because actually through the text now they're using that as a communication about demands for Coca-Cola and demands of products that are relatively difficult to transport in Kenya. So the impact on the entrepreneurship is more than just on the mobile money, but it's in the fact of being able to be connected. This is a growth of mobile phones in in Kenya in comparison to the red line. The red line is not the x-axis. Those are the number of fixed lines, okay? Let me just show you the adoption of M-Pesa, which is different. These are the cell phones, 14 million. This is M-Pesa, 14 million, okay? There's almost one account per cell phone. It's very impressive. This is actually the adoption that took place between 07 and 10. So this is 3 years of adopting. These are different papers. I'm just collecting evidence from different surveys, different papers. I'm not citing them, but it's fine. So this is how many people have used M-Pesa, depending on the decile. And you can see it is tremendous, the use of this technology. This is the adoption rate. So the fastest technology we had before were actually CAT scans in the world. Actually, mobile phones broke that. This is a graph that I love about the adoption of every one of the technologies. In fact, you can see technologies have been moving faster and faster through time. It took 100 years for railroads to impact 80% of the population on Earth. And in the United States, we still are not there, by the way. So, but M-Pesa was actually three years. 3 years only. It's the fastest technology. So when you put it with all the other comparisons, just tremendous the process. These are many accounts are open every month. About 10,000 accounts are open. A lot of the opening and closing are the same individuals. Just want to highlight that this is not, this is a growth rate, but there's a lot of closing. There's a lot of churning of accounts. This is the amount of transactions, and I just want to show this in terms of differences between bank-to-bank transactions, which is the settlements of checks. There are very few transactions that are very big in terms of their money. That's what banks do between. Then you have, for example, the clearing houses. You have a lot of transactions, about 39,000 transactions in between banks. So the first two, the real-time gross settlements and the clearing houses are transactions that happen between business to business. And you just want to point out a little bit of what is the amount of money that exists in those transactions in comparison to mobile money. Mobile money is very small in comparison to the banking system as it is right now. So even this extraordinary success that you have 14 million accounts, everybody has an account, is tiny. Is that okay? So this is still today is tiny. So today, this doesn't represent a regulatory threat. And that's a little bit of what the excitement is about. It's small, but it's actually connecting tremendous groups of individuals. And when we ask them how they use it, these uses are very important for them, for remittances, for insurance, which I will discuss in a second, just to show you a graph of what they do it and how they use the cash and why they need the cash. And they use it a lot. There's about 107,000 transactions that take place in a year. So there is a significant amount of transactions that take place here. They're all absolutely tiny. Yes? Per day, sorry, per day. Yeah, yes. So it's a humongous amount of transactions, but it is a tiny amount in the end. So today, this is what is motivating a little bit our question. Today, the question is how you're using the cell phone. But if the mobile money is going to become a mobile savings account, then the stock has to change. What happens here is that I open an account, I do a transfer, and I close the account. So truly, there's no saving as it is. I'm just making a payment. It's a system of remittances. So I want to talk about, well, if this is going to become, in the end, just as a system of remittances, then what type of regulation we will require? If this is going to become a payment system, then what is the type of regulation we need? And if this is going to become actually mobile banking, then what is the type of regulation we will need? So there are different definitions of success. Success could look like this, where we only do remittances and that's the end of the story, and that's perfectly fine. That will actually improve the situation of the poor as it has so far. But what we want to do in some sense is, well, think about harder. And in fact, people that are actually promoting this, they are thinking about what are the next steps. So let me just show you some of that. Well, this is the growth of agents. A very important aspect here, if you are going to do remittances, is that when I transfer the money to Nora, better be the case that she can change the text for cash, no? So what has happened is a proliferation of agents, and we don't have very good information where the individuals are, but we have very good information where the agents are. Let me just show you a map. This is 2007 before it started. This is the number of agents. These are the blue dots. And here you can see the proliferation. This is just tremendous, okay? So the whole country is dominated. By the way, that's where the connections are. This is a network of the phone. and that's economic activity. So there is a combination of those, economic activity and network, and there's a proliferation of agents. It is very profitable to be an agent. You collect a significant proportion of that commission that I just showed you before, and therefore, it is growing. The agents are the ones that change the text for the cash. I'll show you in a microsecond. These are the uses. They send and receive cash. That's the most important use. They have something that is called they buy airtime. Is that I can deposit the text, send it to you, and you use that to use it as for phone calls. Is that okay? So these are the two important uses. So one is I just use the cash for buy airtime. The other one is to send and receive. And there are some payments like, save is 40% of people are actually saving in the phone. They save for a very small amount of time. They save for 6 months, no more than that. So there's some limited saving. And they're also pay by wages. There's a new system that just started about 6 months ago, in which they are giving credit based on your salary. So the company pays the salary on text messages, and then you can borrow part of your salary, and it's discounted from the text message directly. Is that okay? We have those systems in poor communities. They are doing it now on the phone. So the technology has evolved, and the trust is big enough that they are willing to accept that you get the salary paid in text. That is very impressive. Is that okay? So it has affected tremendously. The biggest impact here is the biggest benefit is that they don't have cash. So security has become beautiful. I can send money to my mother, which is in a poor town, that I would have to travel significantly or give the money to a cab driver to transfer that is subject to crime. Now I just send a text message. She has an agent there, and she just cash in the text immediately. So the funny thing and the most important reflection is that actually banks have become agents now. So this happened in the last year. The banks realized that they have the cash, but they don't have the account. So they decided to become agents. And now you can even go to the very few branches and actually change the cash for the text for cash.
This sounds like the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, no, but it's no. Wait.
Am I just clueless? So why doesn't it take off elsewhere?
Yeah, yes. In fact, yes. In fact, South Africa has it right now.
How about Peru?
Well, no. Well, actually, I'm explaining the MBA is that there seems to be a business opportunity here.
Is it a trust or like a regulation issue that allows it to work?
No, actually, it's entirely the guarantee that comes from the phone company. And the issue here is trust.
You still have to know.
Yeah, you understand that you have no money. You have a text.
Right.
I mean
You
that.
have to trust.
Yeah. So let me give you. You have to trust. And here, what happened in Kenya was Vodafone was the one that guaranteed this, and in some sense, the need also is the need. You see, Miguel, what happened is that the need to do remittances at a reasonable price in Kenya without crime was so huge. I will show you actually a comparison that Tavneed did in terms of the cost of a transfer. But when you add that to that crime, that was a need. So
Do you also need there to be like a telecoms monopoly or something? Or
no. Actually, they started. Now there's competition. Part of the issue, if this is a payment system, is to do a clearinghouse between the two phone companies. That is not happening right now. Oh, yes.
What happens if the phone gets stolen?
It's beautiful. Actually, you have 2 or 3 passwords. So the crime here, the guy has to not only steal your phone, but he has to torture you to get the password. And there are several passwords. So furthermore, that's why they close the account. See, if the account I can open it free, I open the account, transfer, and close the account. Yeah, I understand, but I have no idea why they don't use genetically modified seeds either. So I'm just describing what happens, and but it was also the brilliance of the cell phone company that they just want a SIM card. They recognize the SIM card, and they put no cost on opening and closing the account. This is key. They charge you only with the actual. They charge you if you check the balance. Is that okay? A tiny number. I think it's like 2 shillings, like $0.02, nothing. Okay, $0.04. So it's cents for checking the balance. They mostly charge you for the transfer. Yes, they don't charge you for the interest rates on the salary, for example. It's very interesting. They get credit, but again, it's a very limited amount of credit, and they get it from 2 or 3 salaries and stuff like that. Yes. You open the account with nothing. You just say, I want an account, you register the SIM card, and then you go to an agent and you can give him cash, and the agent has a cell phone, and he transfers you from his cell phone to your cell phone. That's how it works. Yes, I'm here for you, my friends. I'll try to provide you with all the answers, except Guillermo.
I'm almost sure, but the text, it's not that Vodafone created a currency called the text. The text says 10 shillings. The text.
No, the text says.
It's a check.
No, it says a number and my number, which is my password. Oh no, I didn't put an example. It's just, yeah, I know. I could have. Yeah. It's just, I'm just stupid. I just erased it. But yes, I usually have an example. No, I don't have an account. No, I have a picture of a cell phone. I have a slide. I got the account, but I closed it. and I don't remember why I closed it, but I had to close it somehow. So no, it says a number. It says it is actually a very simple text. It says my number, which is my password. Transfer 10 shillings.
Shilling.
Yeah, it says 10 shillings to you, or 10 units. In fact, it doesn't even have to say shillings actually. I think it says 10 units to you, and then it has a number. So you have to tell me your number, otherwise I can. So I send that text to you, and the phone detects that text, checks the balances on the accounts, and actually credits and deposits and debits accounts.
It's not a new currency. That was my point.
No, it's not a new currency. It's not. It's still. Yeah, it's one unit of text is a shilling. Yeah, there's no exchange rate yet. Yeah, you're thinking like an Argentinian. You see this? The first thought of an Argentinian will be, oh, how can I expropriate the tax? Let me tax these guys, an exchange rate, multiple exchange rate. No, not everybody. You see. Vodafone is private yet, yes. Yeah. So it's going to be nationalized after YPF, yeah. There was a question here. No, yes. You. Yes.
I was going to ask if somehow the cell phone company could be subject to something similar to a bank run.
Mm-hmm.
Like people stop trusting the system.
Yes, absolutely. So it's yes. So my worries are about that. But I will tell you kind of the story, how it started. So this is not a lot of cash. But for one company, this might be a significant amount of cash. So I want to actually talk about that in a second. Yes, Dara.
People were really comfortable about the system and the security. They would leave their account open and maybe put a little extra money in. But if they always close it, they must be worried about something.
Yes. So part of the research that they're trying to understand is there's this tremendous adoption, there's tremendous creation of accounts, but there's a tremendous churning. So there's about 10,000, which is not small. There's 10,000 new accounts created and about 10,000 new accounts destroyed every month. So cannot be all the cell phones stolen. Is that okay? So it has to be deeper than that. So we don't know. Truly, we don't know. They're asking. They're running these surveys all the time. But you see, nobody expected this adoption of technology. When they started with a pilot in 2007, they thought, oh, we're going to pick half of the households with no cell phones, half of the households with cell phones. We will see what the impact. 2 months later, everybody has a cell phone and an account. No, so okay, let's pick another guys that have not adopted it. So poor Tarnit, I think she has run like 6 surveys already, and I think that now there's not a single household that doesn't have an account. I said, I told her there is a difference between an AER paper and a useful paper. Please write the useful one. Forget about the AER. I mean, there's no hope. Yeah, there's no natural experiment here that you can actually run credibly. The adoption was so fast that. What do you want me to say? Oh, you adopted like 2 weeks earlier, so that is regression discontinuity. There's no chance on earth that ever working. So she's very upset because she lost the AER paper. So I said, yeah, I know, I understand. Write the useful one. So they are trying to understand why there's so much churning. So, but it's a significant proportion, okay? 10,000 out of 14,000 per month. So it's about 1% a year. So these are the costs, and I just want to show you, these are not all the systems, but PostaPay is a system of remittances, and what I want to do is to show you more or less the money and the cost of that transaction, the tariff that they charge depending on the transaction that they take, and the red one is M-Pesa for non-registered users. Is that okay? So they actually allowed to transfer a text to a person that doesn't have an account. You get the text, and then you go to the agent, and the agent will respect the text and provide you cash. It was a major change that they did, but they charge you a commission for that. Obviously, you have incentives the moment you show to the agent to create an account on the spot, no? And they charge you the lower tariff. So truly, nobody pays the red line. Is that okay? But so you shouldn't pay the red line. But I just want to show you. So this is significantly smaller. This was the key. It's 1/6 of the price. So what is cheap relative to the options that existed? And the options is you give the money to a cab driver that drives from one town to the other. That's exactly what they do. The bus driver has this business on the side where you give him the cash, he has a little bag and transfer from one town to the other, and then he shares the cash when it arrives to the other, and he charges a commission. That's more or less the system that exists today. So relative to that, relative to the possible crime and stealing that takes place in those transactions, this was extraordinarily cheap. Is that okay? Now, that commission, if you think about the type of transfers that we do in the United States between our accounts by paying the credit card, we paid zero. Zero transaction costs when we pay with a check. The way I've been thinking about it is that there are 4 stages of maturity of this system. One is that we are just remittances. Is that okay? And we stop there in remittances. So in remittances, the question will be, how do I avoid this lack of trust, the possibility of a banking crisis, and like a typical banking crisis, but for a system that is mostly about remittances. So what will be the typical problems? What will be the type of regulation that you will require? How you have to think about the structure of that? Then I'm going to think about a payment system, but prepaid. These are like having iTunes cards. Is that okay? So I buy an iTunes card, and I give you the iTunes card. I just transfer the iTunes card between individuals. That's a prepaid payment system. So what is the type of regulation that will be required there? Then you have a payment system where individuals don't have to prepaid. Okay, that I actually make a payment based on a promise. And then that is more services and requires, but it's mostly payment system for the moment. Is that okay? I can attach it to the salary, and they're actually moving that way. And the last one is actually to do banking on the phone. Is that okay? But this is not on, I want to differentiate something. The way they want to do this is to have the bank on this text. Is that okay? We have mobile banking in the US, but truly, we don't have mobile banking. What we have is that the cell phone is the device that allows us to connect to formal banking. We call it mobile banking, but it's just a horrible name. This is because we're doing banking in a mobile phone, but truly, there's nothing on mobile banking there. The company has no resources. We never gave money to the cell phone company. Here, what they're thinking, actually, the excitement is to substitute the banking system with this. Is that okay? And if we're going to substitute formal banking system with a system of text, we have to worry about trust, liquidity, and we have to worry about other aspects. Is that okay?
Aren't the credit card companies involved? Like, I know MasterCard was already.
Yes, they are trying to get involved. Yes, so it's
They have
so
developed
yes. So
they have all the infrastructure to actually.
they don't have the infrastructure. That's the issue. I mean, they don't. 99% of these guys do not have credit cards.
No, but they have systems.
No, I understand. They have this. They have the clearinghouse. They have a system for the clearinghouse, but they don't have the information about the guys. I will come back to that because one way in which this is actually successful is that we cannot do it on the cell phone. That we actually provide accounts to everybody. This is more or less what happened in Iran. They had the same system in Iran, and they gave up. They couldn't do it on the cell phone, so they actually provided accounts. They forced the banking sector to open accounts. So now everybody has an account, and the cell phone is just a device to connect the accounts, the formal accounts.
When you talk about text messages, are you referring to SMS or USSD?
Oh, they are all SMS. Yes.
These are all running
They are all, yeah, it's a security on the, but these are all text.
security on SMS.
Yeah. It's actually, yeah. When you actually look at this, you are amazed about how they were able to build any trust whatsoever on that messaging system. Yeah, it is. This also reflects the need that existed in Kenya.
We have a little bit of experience of sending SMSs in Latin America in the context of something completely different. But one thing that we've learned very quickly is the issues of reliability on the delivery
Yes.
of the SMS. Because the fact that you send an SMS does not guarantee that
Yeah, that they received it. Yes.
you received it.
Yeah. Yes.
So
So this.
something happened in this technology that I would imagine that you guys were able to.
No. We no, exactly. They. So that's a great question. We have the complaints from the customers, and they never complain about the text not arriving, because you see what the phone company does, the moment they are processing the text, they make sure you get it. You see, because they have a responsibility to credit one account and so they are the clearinghouse for the text. So they are very conscious of actually making sure you get the text and the transaction. But the point is, not a single complaint. I have seen these surveys. I have never seen a complaint of someone that did not get the text, which is kind of very surprising. And it's a very simple technology at the beginning.
So that they have control over because they really want to preserve that trust, so they make sure that.
Yes.
How about if one of the agents takes off?
Oh, yes, it can happen. Yeah, yes.
That will break down the whole thing.
No, because it's all prepaid. You will see in a second. Yes. So, in fact, these are researchers that they are all thinking about what the evolution is going to be. I just put some quotes here, but let me just go fast. They are all thinking about the fact that the cell phone companies have the network, have the knowledge of the agents in the local communities, and this network is actually a huge opportunity. So they see the collaboration. There's this beautiful graph that Shandy has. He's a marketing guy from London Business School, but he's actually looking at how this is evolving. And indeed, today, some of the things that M-Pesa is doing is already providing some credit. So they're already here. They did this. They already give the bill payments and remittances. They are trying to work on international remittances, and now they're doing the credit. So let me just show you how this works in particular. Is that okay? So you have a client. The client goes to an agent and gives dollars, and the agent just transfers text. For the agent to have text, he has to actually give money to the phone company, which the phone company gives the text. So it's all prepaid. So the agent if the agent runs out, I mean, he lost all his money.
As long as you get the text from the agent, you're good.
Exactly. So the first transaction happens between the agent and the phone company. The agent gives the dollars to the company transfers the text. Now the agent is prepared to do a trading with the client. Is that okay? So the client has an account of text. The same happened in the other town. Is that okay? So the phone company is receiving all the cash, and they're just accumulating all the cash on the bank, and they are creating the text. So this is kind of creating the currency from the phone company. When the client sends a text, I had this in PowerPoint, so it was all animated, but who cares? So the client sends a text to the client, number 2, and what the client does when receives the text and wants to convert to cash, he goes to the agent provides the cash, the agent goes with the text to the phone company, gets the cash, and then the phone company has this bank. Now, at the beginning, the phone company was holding this in a savings account. And I remember my first reaction was, you have to be kidding me. No? I mean, how can you be holding this in a savings account? At the beginning, it was so small that banks didn't mind. But then this started to grow, and actually the liquidity of that account was cash is coming in and cash is coming out at an extremely fast speed. So the first recommendation, it was actually 2.5 years ago, my first recommendation to the central bank is that they should not even hold this in a checking account, should hold this in what is called consignation, which is an account that I hold exactly in cash. This is the way the narrow banking used to work in the 19th century. I said, yes, that's the way. I mean, if you are not if your system is a system of remittances, the cash has to be cash at every second in life. Is that okay? You cannot be investing this in a way that now the bank is going to be lending that to a client for a 30-year loan. Because then the problem of credibility of the network, even if the network becomes non-credible, you actually break the banking system together with the phone company. Is that okay? So that never happened. That never happened because at a very early stage of this, when we saw this was on a savings account, a formal savings account, the first thing was talk to the central bank and said, no. If you have no idea how to regulate this, have this account. It was called consignation. In fact, I don't know if you know the word, but you have to be old enough like I am to know what consignation was, or going through a financial crisis where it's actually they hold the cash, physically hold the cash. Is that okay? And that's and then every part of the chain was holding the cash in consignation. So no interest payment whatsoever. And that's why the business model depends exclusively on commissions. There's no return on this investment whatsoever. Now for remittances, this is fine. Is that okay? And in fact,
Semantic distinction, because I'm an agent, I have to give money to the phone company so I can be an agent, and then I collect commission. So I'm collecting interest on the money that I've lent to the phone company, right, to start my business.
no, nobody pays interest rates here. No.
Commission, that's another word for an interest rate.
Yes, but it's only, yes. But the difference is that here, the interest rate happens only on delivery. So these are like all zero coupon bonds. You get no commissions when you open the account. So when you give me the cash, I give you the text, it's 1-to-1. You only pay me the day you transfer the text, and that's converted. So it's like a zero coupon bond. So you pay the interest only at delivery. So there is a return on this. You see, a remittance, it works actually the other way. When we send an international transfer, we pay the cost before it was sent. That's the only difference. But it's always a commission in some sense. Works in that way. Yes, but that's actually correct. So here, see, this is how the flow of funds work. When you have remittances, the only service that you truly offer to the clients is that you are transferring resources. There's an implicit guarantee, and this is what Vodafone did. They offer guarantees on security and the liquidity of funds. That was why the agents were rewarded tremendously on these commissions. So there was a proliferation of agents, so much that ATMs, I mean, there's a bank that actually now allows you to convert text to cash in an ATM. I don't know exactly how that technology works, but actually people go with their little phone and do a text to the ATM, and the ATM spits cash. So I don't know how they did it, but they have, I mean, Tavneet just informed me, she was last month, and she actually saw it doing. This has improved tremendously all the experiments in Kenya, because we pay all the researchers in text now, okay? Truly, I mean, super safe. We transfer to an account of Tavneet's dad, and Tavneet transfer to the researchers, and it just is perfect. So the revenues is on that commission. The big challenge is the liquidity of the agents, how to make sure that they have the cash. This is a complaint that they have. If you look at what is the only complaint that the individuals have, is that sometimes they show up to an agent and the agent doesn't have enough real cash to provide. And again, he cannot get cash unless he gets text. So in some sense, they have to go to a different agent. So there's an issue with liquidity. Yes, and now they're paying the supermarket with text. Yes. Yeah, and the limit is minimal, yes. But sometimes, I mean, sometimes you find a store that is not an agent. So for the supermarket to accept the text, they have to register as an agent. So in fact, it is convenient for them because they get a commission. So it's actually good. But not all of them are. I mean, so there's a lot. It's like 40,000, something like that now. So it's a significant proportion of agents, but it's not spread out that much. So sometimes you need the cash. Oh, I didn't realize actually I answered how they were using and why they were using it. Sorry. Okay, so the biggest regulatory aspect here is to have a system that you assure that the liquid funds are there. Is that okay? So truly, if this ends as remittances, it's not a big deal. What you want to make sure is that they do not invest that in the formal banking sector in something that becomes illiquid because they are saving in the banking sector. Is that okay? So before, Vodafone was getting two things, the commissions and the interest payment on a humongous savings account. Is that okay? Now they only get the commissions, and that's fine. So you just have to be careful of how the phone is holding the cash, but it's exactly what iTunes does. You know, iTunes, you pay a little card for iTunes that actually gets to Apple, and then you use iTunes, and there's a system that is a cash on an account in apple.com, and it's perfectly fine. We don't think that that's a threat. It's small enough, and the savings, the amount of money is relatively small. So this has been very successful, and in fact has been expanded throughout Africa at an incredible speed. The fastest one now, and the fastest growing one, is South Africa, truly. And again, the penetration of cell phones in Africa, in poor communities, is tremendously big, and therefore this has allowed people to substitute a business that was very costly. Phone companies make a lot of resources because they charge on the commissions of all the transactions. You saw how many transactions per day you have, and you're charging, 10, 100 shillings for that. So in the end, it's a significant amount of money, and you actually are doing good to the community. So the challenges are the next steps. Is that okay? So the next steps is, this is what I put, is that the resources have to be in consignation here to make sure, and you have to, the only concern that you have is that these agents have to have enough cash to supply the clients. It has not been fully resolved, but they are trying to do that. So one way is to make everybody an agent, which is actually Guillermo's point. Yes?
This is a system that runs on a Tobin tax. You could just add a little bit and collect it and set up a FDIC for it, right? You just add a tiny bit that you go, then also you could monitor the transaction if you were a government.
Yes, I think it's and a system of transfers. So I think that an advantage of this system is that we can target transfers much better. I mean, if we have a collaboration, so it's a little bit of what you're saying. So I'm not thinking about this as a tax, but as a way of transferring and targeting communities much better, because the phone company has all the information that you need. And exactly, and transferring text will be very simple. Anyway, but it's good. Yes, Guillermo, come back. Yes.
This does seem very powerful, but what happens to, I know you have a system, but maybe just explain it, to the person who's out of cell phone coverage and comes back in, doesn't get his for a transfer.
No, but see, so that is a great question. So if they have no phone, if the phone is off, for example, they don't get the text. They don't know they have received a transfer. Now, when they turn it on, the cell phone company makes sure you receive the text. So if you're out of coverage, which is a lot of Kenya doesn't have coverage, it's just have the roads. When I show you that graph, it's mostly the big cities and the roads that has coverage. So once you are there, you get the text. So you will get the transfer. If you want to do a transaction in a place that doesn't have coverage, probably there's no agent. So you will need to have cash before you go there. So there's a limitation that is just, this is limited by the coverage of the cell phone, which I show you the map, but it's mostly on the south and two or three alleys. That's it, what the coverage is. So if you're out of that coverage, the text will not work. Very unlikely, you don't even have an agent. So you will actually need to convert cash before you go to that place. Guillermo. For the whole country? So, oh wow. So I have not paid attention to that. That's so what happened to the formal cash? You're asking me what happened to the circulation of formal cash? Yeah, yes. Yeah, it is small, but this is a very good question. But it's very fast. These are the guys that are individuals that hold cash. So no, this is great question. I have not paid attention whatsoever. So I promise I'll tell Tamnit so she does it.
That we go for 15 or 20 more minutes. If you want, you can hold questions, but maybe that's.
No. It's actually I'm gonna finish in 15. No. I prefer the entertainment this way. Let me just show you the other two. Is that okay? Oh, a question there. Yes.
Yeah, but you can finish if you like.
I'm really thank you for your support. Yes. let me just show you. Let me just show you one, at least the system of payment, so you see what happens. Right now, this has been so profitable that actually in Kenya there are 3 companies offering mobile cash. So if now you have a payment system, somebody has to do the clearinghouse between the phone companies. Because I send you a text to you, and that's the text of Vodafone, and you get, or Safaricom, and you get it in a different account. So there is, right now, nobody is doing the clearinghouse. Nobody. So there are 2 phone companies. Huh? Yeah, yes, exactly. So what is happening is that the formal system is providing the service to the phone company so somebody can clear this text that are moving. So is this text from you or from the other? Now, the beauty is that the number that you have has assigned a SIM card. So there's no confusion who is the owner. Is that okay? So there's no confusion who has the account. But you have to work now. This is not only each system has to have this in consignation, but when you have text that goes from one network to the other, you have to make sure that somebody's actually doing the clearinghouse. Somebody has to transfer the cash from one company to the other. Somebody has to transfer the cash from one company to the other. And this goes back to your point, Guillermo. Imagine I have a community that needs a stock of cash of, let's say, $100 to operate. Now, if I have 2 companies, 2 cell phone companies, and I have 2 agents, and I have to guarantee the liquidity of the text of both companies, each agent has to have 100. Because I don't know who is using the 100, my clients or your clients. So in some sense, this is putting a lot of cash in the hands of the agents, and the central bank is worried that you know who's holding the cash, and you are over-demanding part of that cash in response to the agents. So the point is, because there's not a clear clearinghouse even within the agents at the villages, the clearinghouse has to be done at the level of the phone companies, and therefore the agents have to have excess cash to provide their clients and excess text. So for the moment, it's not a big deal because the other company is tiny. Safaricom has something like 80% of the market share or more than that, but the other company it has to pay attention. So we are doing the clearing, but this has become an issue. If this wants to be a pure prepaid payment system, somebody has to do the clearing. See, in iTunes, that doesn't happen. We cannot take the Amazon account and transform it into iTunes account. We cannot. We do that to the formal system of a credit card. So the beauty is that, by the way, there are companies in the United States that they accept your gift card and they convert that to cash. I don't know if you know, but that's actually a very big business. Most of them former students of mine. They are so bad that they don't remember their beloved professor. They don't give me stocks or anything like that. But anyway, so a lot of these guys, they buy your iTunes card. You receive iTunes cards, so you can send it to them. You give them the number. You don't even have to send the physical card. You give them the number and they deposit cash. Of course, they don't pay you in full. They charge you a commission. It's actually a humongous commission. But there's so many gift cards out there that people will like to exchange for cash that they're making a boatload of money in the process. So we don't do that with gift cards. But here, this is a gift card. Is that okay? So somebody has to do the exchange between iTunes and Amazon gift card. Okay? Let me go through all the worrisome. If you want to have a payment system that now has credit, then 2 things have to happen. First, you cannot base this entirely on commissions. Those resources that are invested in the banking system have to earn some interest because you have to charge interest to your clients, and to the people that are saving, the savers, you have to provide them with interest payment. Is that okay? So we're becoming a little bit closer to a banking system. Somebody has to do a fair credit evaluation. Somebody actually has to do the regulation about the credit standards that you will provide for the poor families. Phone companies have information about where they are, who they are. They don't know. They are not very good at evaluating credit standards, at least as far as I know. That's not their business. So the next step in terms of payment system actually providing credit is to be more careful. The way they are doing it right now is that you are the same person that lends to you. Is that okay? I collect your salary. So it's a way of taxing you. So I can lend to you, but I know the salary you are going to be paying is going to go through my account. I never lend you more than 1 salary of the month. So therefore, I know that if you, by any chance, try to default on the credit that I provided, I collect the salary at the end of the month. Is that okay? So it's a system that you are lending to yourself. That's how it is working right now. But if you want to make this a payment system, PayPal and all these instruments actually have credit. Now, it's not PayPal providing the credit, truly. Is that, again, is a formal system. Let me just finish with the banking system. Here, actually, what is going to happen is that the only way this works is that these resources here now have to be, in some sense, better regulated, because these resources have to earn an interest for this to be sustainable. Okay, this cannot be entirely on commissions. This has to be invested. The banks have to be invested in the economy, and now you are, in some sense, getting much closer to become part of the banking system. Actually, I'm very negative about the possibility of this working, in the sense that if this is successful and this actually provides funds and savings for the poor, these resources now are not going to be trivial. The accounts are going to be there to stay for a relatively long time. They have to bear interest because these guys are actually saving. Okay, so somebody has to compensate them, unless we save them on zero interest rates or negative interest rate. Of course, I mean, I don't know if you will call that success. Let me put it that way. Is that okay? So the fact that you have an account that pays negative interest rate and it's just taxing the citizens is not necessarily a description of success. So this has to change tremendously, and actually here we have to regulate. If you want to go all the way to true mobile banking, to offer services of insurance and credit on the text, is that okay? Then the banks have to become part of the regulatory system of the banking sector. And again, all that is here in my mind are the typical things that affect banks: bank runs, trust, liquidity, etc. So the more services you offer, the harder this is going to be, and therefore actually the bigger issue. So I just have a summary at the end of what are the issues that I think, what are the type of problems that we will face, what is the business model. And in fact, my belief is that if we go to the banking, truly we're going to detach this. The cell phone will be, right now on remittances, the cell phone is the instrument of the payments and the savings. If we go to a payment system, we still can do it on the cell phone. But if this is going to be truly successful, the cell phone is just going to be the vehicle where we are going to use to connect to a formal banking system. And it's hard for me to understand how we can create a whole system on text. I am not creative enough, so it's possible that there's an issue. So let me just give you, these are the discussions that what I wanted to do is to summarize a little bit what the advantages of each of that. I think both businesses have to change their views. The banking system has all the aspects that are important in terms of access to financial records, to understand how to do credit, how to evaluate credit. Telecoms don't have that advantage, but telecoms have the access, the inclusion, the connections, and the knowledge of who is who. And they do have that a lot of advantage. So that's the advantages. The disadvantage of the banking system, especially in emerging markets, is that we are still working and thinking of banking system in the traditional way. And if we want to include these individuals, we have to move to a system of a lot of accounts of tiny amounts. So we have to change significantly the business model of emerging markets. A lot of what Daniel describes of a lack of financial inclusion is not that people don't want to have the banks, it's that the cost you have to pay to enter that system is so huge that we're unwilling to do it. And therefore, the banks are unwilling to provide you with a cheaper account because the services they expend are too expensive. So the phone companies found a way to provide those accounts in a cheaper way, and I think that has been an amazing thing that we should use that. But I cannot imagine this is a possible solution, that the cell phones are going to have a banking license. Is that okay? Now, it is possible that that happens, but I think that it is easier to change the minds of the banks than to provide a banking license to this. So let me take questions. Yes. I think this is my last slide. Yes. Yes.
I think there's an internal contradiction here, even if you forget about the banking side, because what you want, the phone has become much more useful. You have all these agents making money on something they never made money on before. So if you have free entry, Vodafone's sort of too big to fail. But otherwise, it's free banking, because you want free banking to bid down the price of phone, which means that your commissions really overstate the cost, because probably in Kenya it's cheaper to get a phone. The phone is more useful because more people have it, so you're not looking at the real cost. But the problem is that if it takes off and you get new entrants into the phone company business, there is a flow. But if a phone company goes out of business, not Vodafone, but big, then who's going to pay the flow?
Yes.
The government's
Yes.
expected to step in and
Yes.
take care of it. So
No, but if you have the money, yes, great question. If you have the money in consignation, the phone company doesn't have it. So if they go bankrupt,
The government has the money.
well, it's in the banking system in consignation. Well, exactly. I mean, yeah. Yes. So somebody, yeah, you have to trust somebody. Yes, yeah. So the money is in the money. Every dollar that enters is actually held in physically in the banks, and it's not property of the banks. That's what it means consignation. The banks. So the cell phone company is depositing cash, physical cash, in the name of their clients in a bank. So the owners, the ultimate owners, are the cell phone users, and it's actually held in cash. Cash, I mean, physically, it's held in cash. So yes, we
Who checks the phone company to make sure they actually have 100% reserves? I mean, how do you monitor that?
so I think the central bank is supposed to be doing that. They do that every day in the afternoon. It's like a clearinghouse. So they ask how many texts, what is it, the stock of text, money, and they look at the cash. They have to be held in cash. So I know that every Wednesday actually they have to report on this. So it's kind of relatively well done. So, but I mean, hopefully it works. I mean, so but it's a good point. Yes.
So there is essentially a problem with speed, I would imagine, right? That the speed at which these SMSs are able to move around the country are always going to be intrinsically faster
Than
the
it-
speed at which you can move cash,
Yes, physical cash. Yes.
physical cash. So,
Yes.
I mean, I guess that's essentially the problem of how you can clear this thing.
Yes.
Cash is the net.
Yeah, cash. So yes. So, but it is true that what is happening is that the agents, because the problem has been that I move it so fast, it is possible that the agent in the beach doesn't have enough cash. Then they are over demanding cash. They are exactly.
Well, eventually you're not gonna have physical cash.
Well, or that.
Well, so the people from the phone companies tell you that cash is going to disappear. And I tell them that I heard that story about every single financial innovation we have had in the last 40 years of my life. And I said, you know,
Very short if you take the entire history of mankind, so
yeah, exactly. So
maybe
yeah, so maybe it will disappear. Yes, on the back, that poor guy that couldn't.
I know petty corruption is a huge deal in Kenya. And so if you have transactions, so for example,
You want to pay corruption in text?
Right.
it happened
He's not from Argentina.
I was in Kenya for a week and I got pulled over 3 times.
Yeah, you look very Kenyan, yeah, I have to say.
But petty corruption is a huge deal. So if you're actually doing it in a transaction that's trackable, is there any way that there would be additional monitoring?
Wow, I really have no idea if anyone has paid a petty corruption with text.
It's 100% positive that's happening.
Yeah. So this is, it is marvelous. This is marvelous. So, truly, yeah, I never thought that's a great question. I never thought about that. That's a.
And then because then you can find the police officer's phone number.
Oh yeah, I know, of course. I mean, the SIM card. No, I mean the police officers are not that idiot. They will transfer the SIM card to the wife's SIM card, or you have a cell phone registered to a cousin, and you just need to know the password of your cousin's phone. But yeah, you can actually see if there's a family member. I think it's yeah, it is. Yeah, so it is very interesting. But I have, yeah, you know, I am going to ask if this has happened and then how they do it.
Are you familiar with Kaushik Basu's proposal in India, where he wants it to be legal to pay a bribe, but illegal to take a bribe? So that way, you can pay the bribe, and then track the number down that you got, that you gave the bribe to, go to official, observation station, and that way, you can track all the phone numbers who are getting bribes, and taking bribes to stop all those transactions.
Yes, so I have no idea what to say except that yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm learning a lot, so I promise you I will check it out. Yes. Let me just put. Yes.
I was wondering what could happen. I mean, there's a lot of vertical integration here. So if there is a way, for example, that some company which is not a phone company, I mean, I start, hiring Vodafone service of texting, and that's it, and people collect money, and many institutions that collect money, they say send this message to here, and then you can have this coupon, and so on and so on. So maybe you don't have to be a phone company to be into the business.
You don't.
And what's the future of this in terms? Now it has worked because it's a huge monopoly, and now it's getting some competition. What is going to happen next? If you have the different levels of competition, different levels of integration that you can have nowadays.
So everything that I have seen, if we are different companies, but we are all doing it with text, and only remittances, only transfers. That's the only service that we offer through the text. I think it can be done. What can I tell you? I have seen it work in Kenya in some rural places where the share is not 80%, but 50-50, and it works very well. The issue is that they have two agents. One agent for Safaricom, the agent for the competitor. One is green, the other one is orange. It's very easy to see, actually. They're beautiful stands, and now each of them have a humongous amount of cash. Yeah, because you have to double the cash. You don't know who's going to come to demand the cash that you usually demand in the city, or in that village. So it is working right now, and it's working because we are just holding more cash than what we truly need for the transactions, to assure the liquidity. So if we had a better clearing system between the two, so you have one agent for the two phone companies, this will be better. Is that clear? I have only one agent for all the phone companies, then I don't have to double the amount of cash, I don't have to double the number of agents. But I think it can be done. They are not doing it right now because they're competing with each other. They actually don't want they want the monopoly. Of course, the commissions that I showed you are the ones that came down after the competition. But anyway, that's a minor point. So
We're running out of time, so why don't you just take a couple more.
okay. So yes.
Yes. So,
Guillermo, Daniel, yes.
so banks are slow, but they're not so dumb. So at the beginning, a huge part of the international remittances was cashed in by Western Union and in Spain, I remember the banks started saying, the BBVA started saying, hey, I have a bank here, I have a bank in Argentina.
Let's do it.
I should do this. So they entered this market. So that's one point. At some point, there's an incentive. But my main question.
No, but you see, the banks don't have the network. The network externality is humongous. You enter as an agent, and that's what they have done. So the network externality of a cell phone is just extraordinary. You understand that they have a synergy between the cell phone and the remittances business, and they're the only ones that they're doing it. So they're partnering with banks in terms of trying to provide cash on ATMs and other things. But actually, the banks are agents, truly. So this is substituting that part of the retail.
And you really think it's a limitation of your imagination? Because when you see this, the first thing you think is, okay, so these guys are going to become banks. And so you move from you make a very sharp distinction between transfer, between method of payment and financial service.
Yeah, that's why I think it could work so well in Latin America. See, Itaú has a lot of presence, has a lot of cash that is already distributed. We have an incredible penetration of cell phones. In every town, there's an Itaú bank and actually has a cell phone company there. So to me, actually, that's why I think in Latin America is much better, because creating that partnership between the phone company and the bank should be easier in Latin America, where you at least have some local presence of banking, than in Kenya, where the actual retail banking is non-existent. You say that so if I have been saying for 2 years, and my Latino MBAs have not done it yet. I emphasize the word yet, maybe they are doing it and they have not informed me, but truly it should be done. Yes, let me take Daniel. This is going to be a long. Let me just take questions. Yes, Daniel.
Do you have any information on whether and how frequently these agents get robbed? Because they're holding the cash now.
No. Well, it's their own cash.
Sorry?
It's their own cash.
They have to hold cash.
Oh, they get robbed. Oh, yeah. Yes, they get robbed. Yes, they don't get robbed that frequently. A little bit is this is a small amount, no? A typical agent will hold less than $400. but it's $400. $400 for people that have only $1. No, so it is. Yeah, it is a good question. Yes. For the expansion, this will be an issue. I don't know how many. So I do know on one of the surveys that they were robbed, and they tell you the frequency, and it is not that big. I mean, the bus drivers were robbed way more frequently. Let me put it this way: the opportunity system, which was the bus drivers and the cab drivers, they were robbed way more frequently than these guys. So I don't know where they're holding the cash, literally under the mattress or under the rug.
Okay, I want to put my foot down and take a final question. Please go ahead.
Okay.
You're wondering why it hasn't happened in Latin America. So maybe turn the tables around. This was all private sector engineered. The World Bank didn't go in there and make this happen. At least that's how I understand it.
Yes.
So what was unique? What do you think were the driving forces that were somewhat maybe unique to Kenya that made it happen there and not in Latin America?
So first, the two individuals that invented the technology were from Vodafone, and they actually developed the technology for England, and it did not work because in England everybody has an account. So why on earth I want a text account? I trust the banking system way more than Vodafone. Maybe they are implementing this right now. With the small crisis, the credibility has changed. But these two guys that invented it in England, it did not work in England. It was an incredible failure. And I don't know them. Is that okay? So I have never been able to ask them. But yeah, I know. Yes.
One of the things might be that you need a little bit of luck.
Exactly. And it says,
If a country is too developed, right, then the poor are hurt because they may not be in the banking system, but the system does not offer enough opportunities
Yeah.
for a company to actually do
to
this.
try it, yeah. So and the network externality is very important. So in a country like Bolivia and Peru, this should work. This is my point. I mean, in Brazil, I understand that in Rio, very few will have text. But I mean, let's go to the internal side of Brazil. I mean, there's a lot of little villages that will benefit from this significantly. So I understand Buenos Aires is not a good place.
Okay,
But
on that note, let's thank Roberto.
well, thank you so much for your time.